It's a real honor to be on the same stage with Mr. K.V. Kamath. Not only he is one of the major architects of India's financial system, but he is someone who has actually seen the entire economy of India boom over the last couple of decades. Welcome, sir, to the Republic Summit. So there has been never a better time to discuss the Indian economy. The Q3 GDP figures are stunning. Despite the global, turmoil, how is it that India is doing everything right? What are the factors driving our story?
Thank you for having me here today. That's a very interesting question because it has surprised everybody who has observed economic development that you have turmoil in the developed countries, whereas we have bucked the trend. And of course, there's turmoil in other developing countries too. I think this is primarily because of resolute action by A, the government, and B, the regulators who have played an important role in guiding this whole transition through the challenges. First COVID, and then we have had the situation in Europe. And I think we have, and it has taught us something, that we in a way can get disconnected from what is happening in the West and drive our own agenda. Again, to paraphrase what the Honorable Prime Minister says, Atmanirbharta. I think Atmanirbharta is a core component of why we have done as well as we have done to the crisis. I'll give a data point. I think COVID was a crisis everywhere, but we came out of COVID with probably 25% better productivity at our manufacturing level than we ever had. So I think Indian industry, Indian entrepreneurs, the Indian spirit learned to manage change. And I think we have now, we will not let it go.
Right. So the theme of today's summit is Bharat, the next decade. We see the growth map for India charted out pretty well. But what are the factors beyond capex which can actually put force behind this growth?
I think there's a combination of several things that is required to drive this whole thing. And A, primarily there is, I would say, talent. People need to get together to drive progress. And of course, capex follows. And the people equation, as I see, is, let me just fix this. Sorry about that.
No, not a problem.
The people equation, as I was saying, is the key to growth, apart from the capex that you mentioned. And there are a whole lot of drivers that we never imagined would propel us. And I would add, digital is the third key to our capex in hard infrastructure, capex in manufacturing, digital India, and talent. I think these, put together will drive us forward. Just to put it in context, on the manufacturing front, the large industries now, by and large, can meet their growth aspirations through internal cash generation. That is cash that the company throws up every year. It was not so just 20 years back. 20 years back, they said, we'll put up 1, 2 will come as debt. No longer. They say that we can put up the entire investment. Infrastructure is where I think most effort is now being put, and government leads. And government has been leading, for example, in the road sector. It's entirely government-led. In the rail sector, entirely government-led. But then as you go along to other sectors, let's say telecom, private sector is leading. Ports, airports, private sector is leading. Power, again, government and private sector is leading. Green energy, again, I would say joint efforts by government and this. So there is very interesting play that is happening in terms of sectors that need government support are getting government support and government push. Other sectors are encouraged to be driven by private sector. And then comes digital, which we have actually not counted so far. My assessment is that at this point in time, probably digital is contributing 8 to 10% of our GDP. In a full, I would say, developed stage, and that stage, given what heard the Honorable Minister say, I think probably is 5 years away. A full digital force in India, that should contribute between 20 to 30% to the GDP, not of the GDP, to the GDP. Now you're looking at the last numbers, 8.4% was the number, and a lot of people are surprised, and most analysts had the number much lower. I was not surprised. I was expecting that number. And my own assessment is that the base is now going to be reset.